Alright, let's complete our front end file so we can create a podcast. Okay, so first start your server using uvcon command. Okay, and then visit this. Okay, so by default it will be blank because we don't have anything in this. So type explanation. This will generate the boilerplate code. So if I write a b c d here and save it, let's go here and refresh. So you can see it shows the abcd. Okay, now let's write something useful. So our main goal for this file is to provide the input to the user, and the user will enter the podcast title in this, and when it submits, uh, our backend functionality is ready, right, to generate the transcripts and then to generate the audio from that transcripts. So let's complete our front end then. So I will hide this and also sidebar. Okay, now let's continue. I will give title AI podcast generator, and so first we will also use a tailwind css. So script src equal to https://cdn dot tailwindcss.com. Okay, and then we will also need style on animation class. We will use it on some divisions. So to do that, keyframes and class name, fade in up. So initially 0%, opacity will be 0, so invisible, and then transform translate to 10 pixels, so 10 pixels above the initial. Okay, and then when it completely renders, then opacity 1, completely visible, and we will bring back to the original position, so translate y 0. Okay, so let's save this and create one class which will make use of this fade in up animation. So fade in up, and here we will make use of animation and fade in up class. Uh, 0.5 seconds and ease out animation type. Okay, now once this is ready, we will start defining our body structure. So here we need to add a couple of classes. So we will make some fancy gradient. So bg gradient to br, and from gray 950 to gray 900, and text white, minimum height screen, flex item center, justify center, padding 6, and font sans. Okay, then next class is to add the heading. Okay, before we add heading, we will need one parent division. Inside that we will add this. Okay, now this parent division will have class of w full, width full, then max w xl, then bg white 5, and backdrop blur pg, then border and border color white /10 and shadow 2xl and rounded 3xl, padding 8 and vertical distance, so we'll make use of space y6 and our animation class fading up. Okay, and in heading we can give class text for excel, then font extra bold, flex, then item center, then gap up 2 and text purple 400, and heading we will give simple like AI podcast GM generator. Yeah. So let's save this and let's see the results. Okay, as you can see, it added that minor animation, right? So when I refresh, it kind of slides in. So that's what I was talking about, right? Fade in up animation. Okay, it looks good. So I think I zoomed in a little bit, so that's why. Okay, so this is fine. Now so next thing we need to do is, our heading is done, so we will need a form where user can input the podcast topic. So for that I will define a division. Okay, let's give a class of flex column, so vertical partition, and then gap 4, and inside this first we'll have input and input of type text, it will have id of topic and autocomplete of and placeholder enter podcast topic, and we will give a couple of classes. So let's save this till now and refresh. Okay, here is our ugly input. Let's style it. So we'll make width pool, then px5u py3, so horizontal and vertical padding, then rounded xl and pg white /10, then border and border white /20, then text white and placeholder gray 400. Then when someone focus, then focus outline none, and instead of that we will give our custom focus styling. So focus ring 2 and focus ring purple 500, and we'll add transition to all, and duration will be 300 milliseconds. Okay, so let's save this and refresh. So as you can see, it looks quite good compared to previous. Okay, so let's go back there and let's see this is wrong. It should be rounded. Okay, let's save and refresh. Okay, now it's curve, right? Border radius. Okay, then the next step is when someone enters here, there should be button to generate the podcast, right? So that's what we will do. So next tag will be button. Here generate podcast, and we will give id to this button, generate button, and on click it will execute the generate function, which we will define it in the JavaScript below. And this class we will give bg gradient to top right tr. So from purple 600 to indigo 600, and when someone hovers on this button, then it will go from purple 700 to indigo 700. Okay, so let's add some other styling like padding horizontal 5, then py 3, then rounded XL, then font semi bold, text white, shadow LG. Okay, and when it is disabled, it will be opacity 50%. Okay, so let's save this and let's check our UI. So this is our button. It looks quite good. Yeah. Then now the next thing we need is when we click on generate podcast, and when we get the transcripts, right, we need to show that. Yeah. So for that we will need another tag. So we will show that in pre-tag. So in pre-tag, whatever we show, it is rendered as it is. So make sure you know that. So we will give it id of script, and we'll give it nice class so it will look nice. bg black /30, and then border white /10, rounded XL p4, and text small, and text green 200, and white space pre-wrap, and max height of 64. So when we are limiting height, we need to make sure it is vertically overflow, so we can scroll in the limited height, right? So that's what we want, overflow y auto. And we will add fade in up class, so it will look a little bit nice, right? So let's save this and let's refresh. So this is how it looks. Okay, so I think it is a bit outside. So what we can do is, so let's take this and put it inside this tag. Let's cut it and paste. Okay, let's save it and see. Okay, so it is in correct place, and basically we will insert the data here later. So for now I will just add ABCD and to show you how it will look. So let's save this and then refresh. So you can see this is how the transcript will look. It is a bit nice. Yeah. So let's remove this nonsense. Let's save, refresh. Nothing is there, which is fine. When we click on generate podcast and the data returns from our server, we will publish it in this tag, right? So that's what we are going to do. And another thing is we can show the status while the generating podcast, right? So that's what this division is for. So here class space y2, so vertical difference. Then label, and in the label we can show podcast audio. And when we generate the transcripts and the audio is also generated, we can show the audio in this. Okay, and here what we can do is label, and we will need the audio tag and id of player. So we will use controls attribute, and it will have class of width full, then rounded XL, then BG gray 800, and fade in up class. Okay, so this is done. We can add classes to the label as well. So text small and font medium and text gray 300. So let's save it and let's refresh. Okay, so by default this is how it will look. Yeah, so whenever we enter podcast title and click on generate podcast, it will make request to our server, then it will get the transcripts, it will show up here, and then it will make request to ElevenLabs again and generate the audio, then it will show up here. Now our HTML is done. So one more thing we need is so when the podcast is generated, we need some theme intro, right? So if you remember, we have this audio which we will play before the podcast and then during the podcast background loop. Yeah, so audio id will make use of theme intro. Okay, and src, and this will be from the static folder theme intro.mp3. okay, and then next is, let me just copy this 2 times. This is theme outro and outro.mp3, and last is background. So id background, and here it will be background loop.mp3, and this will play continuously, so it will be on loop, right? So that's what I meant. So let's save this and refresh. Okay, our HTML structure is ready.